Philippe J. Fournier for this special live stream of the Waterford Valley by-election results. Philippe, you wanted to do this, and I'm happy to do it. And if people are watching us, they want to see what's going to happen in this by-election in the beautiful province of Newfoundland and Labrador. We're very happy to have them. Philippe, how are you doing this evening? We just chatted a few hours ago.
I missed you. We recorded the numbers podcast and Les Chiffres this morning. Talked about a flurry of polls that we had in the past few days. 4 different provinces, 5 federal polls, and tonight a by-election in Waterford Valley. So I've been studying Waterford Valley. It looks like a beautiful place. I have never been to Newfoundland. I know I should. Everybody tells me that it's amazing and beautiful, and I plan to go one day. But I was just browsing. I was actually on Google Map going through the streets. Like, this looks nice, and there's plenty of hiking. I love hiking next to the ocean. So, but of course, we'll talk politics. But yeah, and if people join us and you have questions for us, please share your questions. We'll focus on Newfoundland for a little while, but since we don't have results right now, we can talk about anything if you have questions. And so how about you, Eric? How was your day?
My day was fine. It was a very busy afternoon putting together our podcast. And we have people now in the chat. So, yeah, as you said, you can leave some chats for us and we'll try to respond. And at least one person recognized from our Patreon members, Ali Gursoy. Hello, Ali. So let's set the stage for this by-election. And the reason why we're doing this, right? There's a reason. We're not just randomly choosing by-elections just for fun. So there was speculation at the beginning of the year that maybe Newfoundland and Labrador would go for an early election. They won a by-election in Conception Bay East Bell Island. They took that seat from the PCs. There was speculation that maybe Andrew Furey and the Liberals would want to go early to get ahead of, let's just say, worsening poll numbers for the federal Liberals.
Yeah.
But then there were 2 by-elections that happened in the spring. So in April, it was Fogo Island, Cape Friels. And this was a seat that was very safe for the Liberals in the past. They ended up losing it by 18 points. There was a total net swing of 43 points between the PCs and the Liberals. The PCs took that seat. And then in May, in Bay Verte, Green Bay, this had been a closer riding, but the swing there was a total of 64 points. The PCs won this seat by 60 points. So we're wondering if the same thing is going to happen in Waterford Valley. Waterford Valley has been held by the Liberals since 2015. In part because of who was the MHA, was Tom Osborne, who, when he retired this summer, was the longest-serving MHA in the history of Newfoundland and Labrador. He was originally elected as a PC, crossed the floor to the Liberals before the Liberals came to power in 2015, and then he was health minister and won 3 terms as a Liberal. So if the Liberals lose this seat, this Waterford Valley seat, which is in the St. John's area, that would be really, really bad news for them, and I think probably indicates they won't go to an election. They'll put it off as long as they can. But if they do win it, maybe it changes the narrative a little bit in the province that things are going bad for Andrew Furey and the Liberals. So that's why we're doing this, because we think it is going to be an interesting one. Whoever wins, whoever loses.
Like, if we look at the results, so this riding was created for the 2015 election in Newfoundland. I think it was in November. It was right after Justin Trudeau won his first majority. So Tom Osborne, 66%, then 69%, then 67%. In the last election, 2021, which was a kind of weird, it was in the middle of COVID, and we know that the elections in Newfoundland had trouble counting the votes, and they had to postpone the whole thing because I think it was the Omicron variant that went crazy there.
Yeah, that's right. They did have
to postpone
it,
But still, you get the Conservatives, the Progressive Conservatives, had 25% of the vote, and the Liberals still won it with 67. So this was not close. That's a 42-point advantage. But so normally, I don't think we would do a live stream for, no offense to anybody here, but for what looks like a safe seat in a small province, there's interest there because this could change the course of the politics in this province for the next year. You mentioned this, I think, in our podcast, Eric. I think the next election in Newfoundland and Labrador is scheduled for November of next year, right?
November 24th.
November 25. Right, okay. So that's 15 or 16 months from now.
Yeah.
And there were rumors that they would maybe go in the spring. But if the Liberals keep losing those seemingly safe seats to the progressive conservatives, well, change of strategy, change of staff, change of mood, change of slogans. I don't know, but it's a really bad look right now for the Liberals. So I'm looking forward to see what's going to happen. You would expect the Liberals to take this, but it only takes a few hundred votes here and there to completely change the numbers.
So what you have on the left of the screen is the webpage from Elections Newfoundland and Labrador, and this is the riding. You can see it. And if you look at the riding over on the right, I guess on the east, that's Cape Spear. That's mostly just kind of like a parkland area there, and it's like one of the beautiful places in Newfoundland. And then the area that's close to that little red line, that's that's where most of the people live. It's along the little Waterford River, if I'm not mistaken. That goes into the harbor. So it is kind of close to the downtown of St. John's, and it is in St. John's. It's part of the city, but it's a bit more of the residential, a bit more of a quote unquote, suburban area, at least part of it. And yeah, it's been safe for the Liberals by huge margins for the last few elections. And the PCs won it when Tom Osborne was the MHA. They won the other riding because it was split between St. John's South and Kilbride. For like most of the 90s and the early 2000s. The PCs won those two seats. So the last time the Liberals actually won a portion of this without Tom Osborne was 1993. So it shows that it's been a long time. So we're going to wait to see if we get some results. And I'm still waiting for the Elections Newfoundland website to kind of update with a, go here for results. So we'll wait and see how that goes. Last time, the counts were over in about 2 hours. So we'll see if this goes that fast or a little bit faster. It is a riding in a city, because the other by-elections that took place in the two districts, they're on like the North Shore. So these were like outports and little islands and small fishing communities. So I think it might have taken a little bit longer maybe to count the ballots. But also I think that's what the Liberals were kind of thinking was part of the reason for the big defeat. There's been lots of discontent about the handling of the fisheries. And so these two ridings swung hard to the PCs. But will a urban riding, a riding in St. John's, where the Liberals have a lot of the seats, will that also swing as dramatically to the PCs and Tony Wakeham? So interesting to see. The candidates, we got Jamie Korab. I'm not sure if it's Korab or Korab. If you follow curling, you would probably know how to pronounce his name, because he won a gold medal in 2006.
Wow.
And he's also been a city councillor in St. John, so he has some electoral experience. Jesse Wilkins is the PC candidate. He's a retired police officer. And Nicole Boland is a social worker. She's running for the NDP. So that's all we got. 3 candidates. No long ballot.
I was gonna say this is a short ballot. This is a post-it. This is a post-it, right? So.
Yes, that's right. No, it's luxurious ballot here. It's just like, click here for results. Okay, here we go.
There you go.
I don't know how this looks on the screen. Let me just take a peek. I might my screen might go black for a second. Don't freak out.
Click here for results.
Let's see.
Oh wow,
doesn't look great, but we'll keep it that way.
It's simple. It's Windows 98
but it's just
or
stuck
something.
way at the top of the screen. You're right. I'm going to try to fix it a little bit, people. Hold on. See if I can do this live.
Anyway, so no long ballot in Newfoundland. They don't have that reach. So how many are there in the La Salle et Marve? They're like, 68
I
or something, I think. Yeah, I think it's
all right.
It's going to be one of those, but only 3. No Green Party, for those who wonder, no Green Party, at least no organized Green Party in Newfoundland. So only the 3 main parties. This is... I'm wondering, because, so I don't think the NDP should be taking this unless there's a perfect split. Not that the NDP doesn't get a fair share. If we look at the results, I mean, they got crushed with only 8%, but in 2019 they had 31%. So the NDP can have a decent result. I don't think it would be enough to win. You would expect this to be a liberal, progressive conservative race. If the PCs win this, what do you do if you're Monsieur Furey? They're all, if that's the case, they're falling like flies, and suddenly we're getting very close to the government not being a majority anymore, right? I know there are independents.
They have 21 seats, I think, right now.
I thought it was 20 after the losses, but okay.
I saw in the news report today it was 21. So
okay, but 21 is the majority, right?
Yeah,
considering there's a speaker. So
that's right.
Yeah. it's in again, I think we mentioned this many times before, but this is the last big L liberal government in the provinces, right? I know Miss Holt is competitive in New Brunswick, but the Liberals are getting crushed throughout the country since Justin Trudeau was there. When Justin Trudeau got in power, there were 7 Liberal provincial governments, and now there's only 1, and maybe in the next year that number will be 0. So
I mean,
we'll
there's still the
see,
Yukon,
we'll see how it goes.
Yukon Liberals hanging on.
Yeah.
Don't forget our friends
No.
in Yukon.
In the territories,
Yeah, no, that's right.
I would never do that.
So, yeah, we're going to wait and see what's going to happen with the results and see how fast they come in. It does look like I've tried to recenter it a little bit on the screen, so it looks a little bit better for people to look at.
That looks good. Yeah,
I think
good
it
job.
looks good. Yeah, come on. We're get what you pay for here. So yeah, this will be. I'm really curious to see what kind of swing it's going to be because, as I said, in Bay Verte, Green Bay, which took place in May, the PCs gained 31 points.
Yeah.
In Fogo Island, Cape Friels, they gained 21 points, and it was almost a 1-for-1. The Liberals and the Liberals dropped by about the same amount in both, and that's why this is interesting, right? Because Osborne won this by 42 points last time, a little bit less than 42 points.
Yeah.
And the swing in Fogo Island was about 43, and then the swing in Bay Verte was 64. So if it is similar in terms of those kinds of swings, then it could move over. If St. John's is not moving as dramatically as the rest of Newfoundland, then the Liberals could be able to hold on to this. The fact that they have a known candidate is probably going to help.
Yeah.
But I'm curious to see, as you said, what do the Liberals do if they hold on to this riding? Do they still say, okay, maybe things aren't so bad, maybe we can hold on to our seats in St. John's, and but do they still wait for that November election? Because that's a month after a federal where Pierre Poilievre is expected to win.
Yeah.
Probably win most of the seats in Newfoundland and Labrador. Maybe the 2 St. John seats don't.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if that's a good timing. All right, we do have our first results. Are you ready, sir?
Let's go. Yes, I am. Ready? Let's go. Let's do it.
It is 3 votes for Jamie Corab, 3 votes for Nicole Boland of the NDP, and 1 vote for Jesse Wilkins.
The Conservatives trailing already. We have no percentage. There's no percentage there. Oh my God.
You got your calculator? I got my calculator.
Okay. Of course you do.
It's always right here.
They don't show percentages?
No.
So the PCs have 1/7 of the vote. What is that? 14%? Underperformance here in the first box. From the
14%. That is good. Did you just know that offhand?
Well, 1/7. Come on, I'm an astrophysicist. I think.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Yeah.
So as usual, to loosen up and make sure everybody's having a good time, we grab a beverage. I have my trusty ciders here. Some people gave me some suggestions for Canadian ciders last time.
Yeah.
I keep trying Canadian ciders. I haven't found one that I really like. I've tried some of the ones people suggested. I tried 3 like 2 weeks ago. 3 different ones I hadn't seen before. Just not doing it for me. I don't know.
Is it the ones you drink? They are Irish? Is that right?
This one's Strongbow, which I think is English.
Okay.
But the other one is Irish. I don't know.
Well,
I'm having trouble.
I am drinking vodka soda, and it's Glacier's vodka from Newfoundland.
Oh, is that right?
I am drinking Newfoundland vodka.
Look at that commitment.
It's written
right.
Newfoundland on the bottle.
Cheers.
Absolutely. So people in Newfoundland, there's not that many people here, but we really, it's not the quantity, it's the quality. I really appreciate you being
and they're
here
quality
tonight.
people.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And if you join our Discord, you'll see that everybody is super nice all the time.
Yes.
Well, there's some disagreement, sometimes some heat, but it's always in good sport. So Newfoundland vodka, it's really good, by the way.
Nice. I like that. Okay. Did you purposely go out to find it? Or you just had it?
Well, I like vodka. I think I mentioned this before, and I switch around from brand to brand. And I knew this one was from Canada, but I looked it up when I saw Newfoundland. I was like,
Very cool.
Yeah, this is
All right,
perfect
like
for
it.
tonight. So,
All right, we did get our second box. So now we're looking at 22 votes for Corab, 13 for Wilkins, and 10 for Boland. So I think where we're going to focus maybe is going to be on the margin of votes, right? So now it's a 9-vote lead. We still got a long ways to go because the Liberals won this last
38%.
time by 2,244 votes. So
Oh yeah, and we should mention the previous by-election in Newfoundland, the turnout was higher than in the
Yes.
general. Yes, in the general it was low because of COVID, but still a by-election that beats a general
Yep.
elections turnout,
That
that
was
is
something.
really rare. I think last time there were around 5,200 votes counted in total. Let me check that to make sure. Yeah, 5,400 votes. So total so let's say around the 5,000, maybe 6,000 mark if the turnout is high. But yeah, the Liberals now are at around 48%. Yeah, 22 out of 45.
Yeah, so 2 out of 38. And,
Look at me
hello
doing
to
math.
Michael over in the chat. We appreciate all of this. So there we go. We're off to the start, 2 out of 38. And like I said, it seems to go pretty fast the last couple times. And if it's not very close, then we might be able to know who's going to win earlier than the finish. I did see that there was, if I'm not mistaken, there's 776 advance votes that were cast.
Okay.
And they're counting them
okay.
on election night. That's what they said. So usually those boxes are big. They take longer to count. So maybe there's 776 votes that might be waiting at the very end. So we'll see how that's going to go. We got 3 boxes now, and it's now a 23 vote lead for Jamie Corbs. So that margin is getting bigger. But right now, so, just kind of eyeballing it, then it must be 50% or so
50%,
for the Liberals and 25% apiece for Nicole Boland and Jesse Wilkins.
Man, $3 already. I mean, Elections Ontario should really,
Elections
take
Ontario
notes here.
is actually the pretty good. They got
what was the?
electronic
Oh
ones
no,
or
it was
whatever.
yeah. Sorry,
No, the
sorry, it
federal
was the
was bad.
federal.
Yeah.
It was Toronto St. Paul's that. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but that's
That
because
gave-
they had the long ballot. Now, they know that that's going to happen in La Salle et Mount Verdun. They
Yeah.
say they're going to prepare for it. Maybe they're
Yeah.
going to hire more people. I don't know what they're going to do. But they're threatening to have even more this time. So I'm not looking forward to that night. I mean, I am, but I'm not, because it's
But
going to be
at
long.
But at least we're gonna have 2 elections. I mean, is the longest ballot also going into Manitoba for?
Doesn't seem like
Transcona?
it. Doesn't
Yeah,
seem
okay.
like it.
Okay.
Thank
all right.
goodness. And they've done it before in Manitoba. They did it in Winnipeg. The first time they did it in Winnipeg. Oh, and we got didn't see Nelson from Manotick says thanks for the live streams. We appreciate that.
Thank you. Where is Manotick? I don't think I know
It's
that. Do you know?
south of Ottawa. It's in Ottawa because Ottawa is like a city and then a huge amount of farmland.
The Greater Ottawa. Yeah.
Yeah, and
Okay.
it's a very nice little town. I used to live not too far from there. Trevor
beaucoup.
Parsons had a question for us. Will
Okay.
there be a live stream for Bay of Quinte? See, we kind of talked about this. No.
Well, here's the thing.
Oh, God.
That week, there will be the federal by-elections on the Monday, and we expect to have a very long night. Not only because of the long ballot, but there are more votes.
Yeah.
Elections Canada has been slow. There's also, I know it's only 1 hour later, but no, the Central Time. I teach. I have to go. I have to go to my college and teach. And so that Thursday, we may. I don't know. I kind of feel like we should, but this should be an easy PC pickup. But
Yeah, it's just not going to be that interesting. At least here, there's the potential that the Liberals have lost
Yeah.
some by-elections. They lost 2 in a
Yeah.
row. What's going to happen this one? What does it mean for the election?
If
We know
there's-
that the PCs
yeah.
are going to win Bay of Quinte. They won it by 2-1 margin last time. They're doing fine in the polls. They're not,
Yeah.
and they called the by-election days after Todd Smith
Oh,
resigned. So
like this, right?
it's not too much fun to, and especially since Ontario counts so fast, that might be a reason to do it. But we'll be able to call it in 10 minutes, and then we can all go home. I don't know what the point would be, but
Well, I think if there is strong public pressure,
Public
perhaps,
pressure,
but
yeah.
right now it's tilting towards no. But but
well, in this one already,
we'll see.
we'll see. Before when this riding became vacant, or this district, as they say in Newfoundland and Labrador, I thought, wow, this will be a real big test. The fact that they got a candidate who's well known, I think, will probably help quite a bit. Especially since we saw that when the Liberals did win in Conception Bay East, Bell Island, they had a well-known candidate, Fred Hutton, who had been a journalist, broadcaster, and he worked in the Premier's office. So don't, there's that aspect here that if the Liberals do hold on here with a decent margin, Right now, they're at about, like you said, somewhere around 50%. It's only 3 ballot boxes. But, that would still be okay. Because you got to think Tom Osborne, who's been there for, he was elected in, when was he
What
elected?
year was he? In the 90s?
96, right? I think. I think it was
Wow,
96.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
Wow.
So anyway, he was there for, 30 years. So,
Did you just use your calculator? For
no,
that? Okay.
I didn't. And it's not even 30 years. I looked at
28.
a sheet of paper, that's all. But no, how much is he going to be worth? If he's only worth 15, 16, 17 points, that's a lot. But I would buy that, that I would buy that he was worth that much, and the Liberals winning with 50 would be okay. But we'll see how it's going to go.
I have a question for you, Eric.
Yeah.
And we'll answer some more questions in our chat. I see it's going fast. I have trouble speaking, listening, and reading at the same time. But have you ever played curling? Have you ever tried that?
I have not.
Okay. You really should. I've tried. I can't say that I play regularly because I just don't. I don't have a team. But I was brought by a friend to a curling place, into a club. He says, "No, well, I'll teach you. I'll show you." It's amazingly fun.
Really?
It's really, really hard.
It does look
really
fun.
hard. But it's really fun. And any sport that you can have a beer while you play.
This is how I've been
for
told
me,
it's fun.
It's like bowling, but much harder because you have to put in the effort when you sweep, right?
All right.
And so the fact that we have a curler there, respect, because I almost hurt myself curling. It's a really hard sport and it's amazingly fun. So here's my sport capsules for tonight's.
All right, that's very
live
good.
stream.
Well, we'll see if he slides the rock into a winning position tonight. So far, it seems to be okay. In terms of the parts of the riding, when I looked at it, there didn't seem to be that much difference. In terms of one part of the riding being more PC than the other. It's hard to know because the Liberals had 67% of the vote last time, so they won pretty much the entire riding. But would there be some areas that might be a bit more friendly to the Liberals and some that might be more friendly to the PCs? Maybe. But we're not talking about a huge amount of votes here, right? Because the total amount of votes last time was somewhere around
5,400.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we get 5,000 votes, we got 5,000 votes. We still got a lot more to count. Here's a question. The mysterious star. What would the narrative be if the NDP were somehow to win this seat? I think it would be what happened, what planet are we currently on, what is going on here?
Hey man, the NDP winning a seat, would it be more surprising than a 60-point swing that we saw last time? I mean, which was it, Fogo Islands, Cape Friels, that the candidate had 80% of the vote? I mean, I think it was 78 at the end of the night. But
he got 79.
That's insane.
I know, it's insane.
That was a Liberal seat, and the PCs had 79% of the vote. So it is one of the reasons. By the way, if you go on 338, you cannot see riding projections with detailed numbers for each parties, because after those by-elections that just did not make sense with the polling that we have, even though we have little polling out of Newfoundland and Labrador. The polling that we did have never showed such a swing as possible. And so I still have province-wide projections, but the seat-by-seat with detail for the parties, if it doesn't work, if it's not at least a little bit scientific, it's just not worth it. But the NDP winning, it's, as you said, it's an urban seat for Newfoundland. Is it possible? Well, the historical trends say no, but...
NDP in Newfoundland and Labrador doesn't have a huge organization. It's able to win a few seats in St. John's, much more like the down urban kind of area.
Yeah,
usually win Kitty Vidi and the harbor area, St. John's Center, that kind of area. But this would be, to me, it would be a bit too suburban. In 2019, there was no PC candidate. I can't recall why. There must have been a reason for that, but. It was a one-on-one race, Liberal and New Democrat, and the NDP got 31%. Osborne got 69%. So that was probably their best chance to win it, I suppose, and they got 31% of the vote. So we'll see how they do. But I really don't think because even in the polls that we saw, the last poll we had from Narrative, which was done in May, had the NDP at 19% across the province, which is like a little bit more than double what they got in the last election.
Yeah, that's a good score.
But, that's not winning a riding like this kind of score, right?
No. So,
yeah, and that's right. Someone, Christina mentions they have a seat in Labrador. Yeah, sometimes they're able to win out in Labrador, which I think they've done for a while. There's been, if you go back to
Labrador.
If you go back, I seem to recall that they won a seat in Labrador like a long time ago. But anyway, we'll see how it's going to. Oh, there's a question from Dean. What's your vodka to soda ratio, Philippe? What do you?
Because I have a tall glass, huh?
Yeah, it looks like
it's not. It's kind of strong because the reason I like vodka, it's there's this. I don't want to say it tastes like disinfectant, but this strong. I really like the challenging taste of vodka. I would say it's 1/3, 2/3. So this is a big glass. Obviously, maybe it looks bigger on camera than it is in reality. But I'd say 1/3 and 2/3 with a slice of lime, and that's all you need. You don't need fancy drinks with little umbrellas. Just vodka and soda. That's it.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. So this is the cocktail hour on.
There you go.
The Numbers live stream. So yeah, we had these 3 boxes come in, and now we don't have anything else.
But hang on, though. I mean,
yeah.
we said about Labrador. I mean, the NDP has a seat in Labrador now, right?
Yeah.
Labrador West. But did she mean like the federal? I mean, the
no.
NDP
I think we're still
federally
talking
never won
about,
Labrador, right?
No. I think we're still talking
yeah.
about provincial.
Okay.
Yeah. But
Jordan Brown of the NDP. Yeah.
Yeah. So, well, I'm curious to see how this is going to unfold for the Liberals over the next year, because it is going to be a challenge for them facing these headwinds from the federal scene. We've seen how the PCs in Newfoundland and Labrador have been very, very happy to try to tie the Furey Liberals to the Trudeau Liberals, and how the Furey Liberals are trying not to be too tied to the Trudeau Liberals. A lot of their signs are not emphasizing the red; they're emphasizing the Furey, which it sounds extreme, but. This is the riding that would overlap with Seamus O'Regan's in Newfoundland and Labrador. So, that's kind of a riding that now could be up for grabs in the next election. It's going to be called Cape Spear in the next election. Yeah. If O'Regan was still on the ballot, I would have said that maybe that would have been the one riding in Newfoundland and Labrador that would stay Liberal. Maybe Yvonne Jones in Labrador could hold on just because of her own kind of renown. But while we're just waiting for some results to come in, what's the projections right now for Newfoundland and Labrador?
Are we provincially? You mean, right?
No, federally.
Federally, okay,
Yeah.
I have it right here. Hang on, that's a good question. Because provincially, I still have the Liberals favored, but going down. Right, because of the last, because of the by-elections that we saw, the Furey Liberals are not as dominant. So right now, I have 2 seats for the Liberals federally and 5 seats for the Conservatives. I can go to the map and tell you which one, and I'm pretty sure the Liberal ones are not that safe.
I'm guessing they're St. John's East and Cape Spear.
St. John's East would be one, but it would be close. We know that the NDP with a good candidate could hope to have. Okay, so right now, Labrador is light blue, CPC leaning. Long Range Mountains is blue, safe. Central Newfoundland, I think that's one of the newly named ones, right? CPC safe. Terra Nova de Peninsulas, CPC lightly. And then when we get closer to St. John's, St. John East leaning Liberal, and Cape Spear, right now it says Liberal safe. It's just that as I said many times, I do not input the incumbency and the candidates so far from the election. Yeah. I know he has left, and he will cost the Liberals a few points. His departure will cost the Liberals a few points. I just haven't factored that in. So. Yeah, the 2 seats in St. John's should be okay, unless there's a huge sweep. I mean, the Conservatives are doing well in Atlantic Canada, but they don't have like Saskatchewan and Alberta numbers either.
No.
So the Liberals should be able to win a few seats in Atlantic Canada, even though they're not doing very well.
We got our 4th box counted in Waterford Valley. 123 votes for Jamie Coram. And Nicole Boland is in second, 54 for the NDP, 42 for Jesse Wilkins of the PCs. Someone is helpfully calculating the percentages in our comments, and it's 56 for the Liberals, 25 for the NDP, and 19 for the PCs.
Ooh, the NDP doing pretty well.
Yeah,
Okay.
you wonder if maybe those boxes came from a bit closer to the harbor.
Starbucks.
We just got our fifth one, and now Wilkins is back in front by one vote, or back in front for second place. Korb is still ahead now by 102 votes. So we're going to see if this is going to keep on holding on in this way. Because right now, as I said, we're somewhere around, a little over 20% for the two other candidates, and the remaining 60 or so for Jamie Korb. That would be something if the NDP manages to get finished in second. Because just to remind our viewers, the results in 21, 67% for the Liberals, 25 for the PCs, and 8 for the NDP.
That's right.
So PC should not have a fight on their hand for second place. If it is, it seems to suggest a lot of the vote that might have gone to the PCs is sticking with the Liberals.
Huh. The Osborne voters, they don't seem to be switching to the NDP at least for now. But so it's so 53% for the Liberals, 23 apiece for the NDP and PC. Now I just input in my. Thank you for the calculation. I had my spreadsheet too, but keep doing that. I love that.
And it's a bit easier for us, yeah.
Especially when I finish my drink.
Yeah. But yeah, as we said, we still got a lot of votes to go because this is now a 102 vote lead, and the Liberals won last time by, what did I say, 2,200 votes or so?
Yeah.
So we'll see.
We don't have any indication of turnout, right?
Not yet.
Yeah, it's too early, right?
I mean, we can compare to last time because we know how many people voted last time. But at least I probably should have seen, I'm sure Elections Newfoundland put out the number of eligible voters. But here, wait, I'll just write this down.
I think it's just over 10,000, yeah.
I'll write this down. There's 5,378 votes last time.
All right.
So that is going to be our target number for the evening. And if the Liberals want to get at least half of their vote, well, if we're assuming I don't know. I'm really curious, actually. The turnout might not be nearly as high here. Like the other two districts were the North Shore, Outports, upset about the fisheries. This is an urban riding. Maybe people aren't too upset about things. It's also August 22nd. We should probably point out. And I know that people on the East Coast, my native Gaspésie, not a lot of great months. And so when you have some good months in the summer, you don't want to waste them. So I wouldn't be surprised if Newfoundlanders have some better things to do than vote in the by-election. But I guess we'll see.
Well, yeah, but people, like, we're asking you, like, just... I don't think I have to convince anybody here. If you spend your Thursday night with us, probably you vote when you can vote. But
there is a page that has more information. Click on the title.
Teach us.
Oh, this is exciting. Okay, wait. I'm going to have to rejig the page. I didn't realize I could do this. Click on Waterford Valley.
Waterford Valley.
Click on it.
Yeah, I did. Oh,
look at all this. This is what we like to see.
Poll by poll. Look at that.
This is good.
Okay.
All right. Well, you can get an idea of...
The percentage is there. The percentage is right there.
I know, the percentage is right there. We've been talking like fools.
Why don't they put it in the front? Oh, yeah, okay.
Turnout does not look good. Boy, it does not look good. Look at some of these polls. There were 7 people who voted in this. There was 128 eligible. 122 voted. There was 320 eligible.
Do I see there's 128 voter in box number 12 and 7 voted? Is that what I'm seeing?
That seems to be correct. That seems to be
7
what it
out
is.
of 100. Oh my God.
What happened there? Someone should check on that area.
Is there a hurricane or something, or did we miss? I mean, let me check Environment Canada, but okay.
No, that's not.
Wow. Okay.
Okay. All right. So we got
Maybe
more information.
there's something to be said about summer.
We got more information. Okay. It is a little bit harder because the pages, they have the names at the top and the results at the bottom. Not great design.
Poll number 32, 239 voters, 38 voted. Okay.
Well, I guess we should say that, all right, all voting reported. We should say that these these probably don't seem to account for the advance vote. So they don't, you know what I mean? Like there was 128 people in box 12, but some of them might have voted in the advance vote, but they're going to count the advance vote separate because they have it at the bottom.
Yeah, they have it at the bottom. Okay.
Yeah.
I see. Okay.
Oh, so all the advance is going to come in at once?
That sure looks like it. Sure looks like it.
All right. This is
why sorry, why do provinces don't just count the advance votes during the day? So why?
I guess they want to prevent
Staff?
they want to
Leaks?
they want to prevent leaks. I would assume.
Oh, they wouldn't leak results before it's time, right? It's
Someone could.
unethical.
Someone
it's unethical.
You never know. Someone could.
A new box, I think.
Oh wait, I'm gonna people watching. I'm gonna click back and forth because one of them's a bit easier to look at. So the gap is now 110 votes. So that's gone up by about 8.
53% for the Liberals still.
Yeah.
Okay.
26 for Wilkins. Boy, I wish they had put their names at the bottom too. But anyway. There's
only 3. There's only 3.
Yeah,
right?
imagine if there was more. People should hire us to redo their elections websites because most of them are awful websites. They need some consultants to come in and tell them how to, like Elections Newfoundland. Come on, this website is a little old looking.
It's just that I get the idea of maybe simpler is better because sometimes if it's too convoluted, it's not enjoyable to watch. But this is like high school stuff. Like, come on.
Well, I mean, if it's been this way since like, what's it called? GeoCities and all that.
GeoCities. I had a GeoCities page. Oh my god.
Set up by AOL, maybe this page, but
yeah. Which one was really good? Was it Manitoba that had a really good website, or
Manitoba's is pretty good?
Yeah,
BI is old school, but the information is well organized. Mm-hmm. Ontario's not very good, if I recall.
No, Ontario's
Elections Canada's not good. Quebec's is okay, I think.
The thing is, they revamped it.
Yeah.
We went from, also they changed their name from Directeur Général des Élections to just Élections Québec. The website is good, it's just it hasn't been tested because we had one by-election and it was a blowout. So we don't know yet.
Yeah, Alberta's, anyway, most of them are pretty bad. Saskatchewan's is okay. Anyway, that's what people are tuning in for. Okay, the gap is now 109.
49% for the Liberals.
Okay, so that went down a little bit.
28% for the PCs. Yeah. So interesting. Okay, it's picking up.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
we have 511 votes.
All right. 511. Oh yeah, we got the numbers right there. That's easy. Okay. So we still got lots to go though. If we're only at 10% of we're only at 10% of the total votes counted last time. Don't say mean things. You don't need to do that.
Well, I'll add, for those who enjoy Eric and I, go to become a member to our podcast. There you go. I just posted the link. It's a French link, but it goes to the same place, and we bridge the two solitudes. And we had a good chat this morning because it was a loaded, and I mean loaded week, right? I said this earlier, but we had 5 federal polls in a week, which is at the end of summer we were happy to just have the nanos every week, and 4 different provinces had polling in the past 7 days. So that was BC, Alberta, Saskatchewan, New Brunswick. Mm-hmm. So we talked about those. And then I gave Eric a quiz, and oh my god, did he crush it. So he did really well. Look at his face, he's happy. And he should be happy because he did really well. Sometimes my quizzes are a bit too hard, but this one Eric did very well. So
I think it was kind of hard.
Go check it out. It was kind of hard. You did very well, though.
Kind of thing that I know, so it worked out well for me. When they're hard and I don't know them, that's when it's not fun. I don't like that. I like quizzes when I already know the answers. So anyway, so where are we at right now? We got 49% for the Liberals. We're at 29% for the PCs and 22% for the NDP. If I'm the parties, I say the Liberals are fine with this. They're winning. It's a decent amount of the vote. The NDP is up quite a bit. They should be happy about that. PCs should be doing better. This would be my view right now.
Well, maybe the narrative will be okay. So the PCs maybe are doing very well in the rural areas, but the rural areas are not enough. Well, could they be enough? Well, it's not like Saskatchewan or Alberta, where if you sweep the rural areas, you win power automatically. I am not sure that distinction has been as stark in Newfoundland as it has been in the western provinces. But if those results hold tonight, I mean, it's early, but this is a 20-point lead for the Liberal, and we're maybe what 8 bucks in? Is that
Yeah.
8? No, we're not ready to make a call yet.
No. I saw a comment from Gabriel who said he subscribed to the podcast, so we're happy to see that.
Thank you.
Asked how to join the Discord. If you don't have it in your email when you joined, I can send it to you after. If you can kind of send me a note or something on Patreon, I'll send it to you. But there's a link on, if you do a search on Patreon for how to join the Discord, you should be able to find the instructions to how to do that. So yeah, we've been having fun with the podcast. We're coming up to a year. I think our first episode was like September 8th or something like that.
Wasn't I in Quebec City for the Conservative Convention? That's
Yeah.
our first episode, right?
Yeah.
So that would be September 7th or 8th.
There you go.
So yeah, we're first
What a year.
candle of the numbers. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been fun. We've been really enjoying it, and doing these has been a lot of fun too. This is why we bothered to do this one on such a small riding. I think that's kind of the focus or the reason, right? Because this is a riding with, or a district with 10,000 people ish, maybe 10, 15, I don't know exactly. That's just a very small part of the country. So when we do our federal by-elections on the 16th, we're going to do a live stream for that. We're talking about 2 ridings totaling somewhere around 200,000 people. So it's still a small part of the country, but we're given this focus on this very small portion just because we think that the narratives could be kind of interesting. But we'll see.
New box.
Yeah, we got a new box in. The gap's widened a little bit.
48.6%.
It's 119 votes.
30%
of
of the PCs. Oh,
That's
sorry, you have
okay.
those numbers now. Yeah.
That's okay, 31, but I don't know. When you see that they've been gaining 20 points, 30 points in the other by-elections, the polls don't act. I mean, the polls, like you said, what we saw happen in the 2 other by-elections doesn't match what happened in what's been happening in the polls. But the last poll in May, done around the time that they had won in Bayvert, or at least that campaign was going on, they're at 41%, which is a gain of 2 points, right?
Yeah.
So if we went by that, you would kind of expect that maybe they'd gain a handful of points here. But the other by-elections just kind of suggest that maybe something more is happening, right? But we'll see where they end up tonight. But I would think that if they're winning the election, the general election, they probably need to be 35 in a riding like this at least. If we assume that Liberal vote wasn't an Osborne vote.
Yeah. Yeah, well, there will be some of this, and plus going against the tide, the anti-Liberal tide going across the country. I think, I mean, I know we don't get much polling in Newfoundland, but during the election, we did get some, right? We got Forum Research, Main Street Research, NQO, Angus Reid. They all went in the field during the election. So we will get better data. It's just that, again, for those who ask why aren't there more polling, polling costs money, and you have to make it worth your while. So that's why, I mean, PI and also doesn't get much polling. New Brunswick had one last week, and we talked about it because it had been ages since we had polling there. But yeah, the narrative research, as you said in May, 41 PC, 38 Liberal. I mean, 19 for the NDP is high, is probably too high. But if it's a tied in the vote, the PCs and Liberals would be very close to tied in seats. There's no map advantage or great map advantage for either of the main parties in Newfoundland, unlike in many places in the country.
So we got another box. The gap is now back down to 102 votes. So it's been sticking at around that 100 vote mark. A little bit more than 100
percentages,
votes.
it's getting closer, though.
Yeah, it's 13 points now. 46% for the Liberals. 46 here, that's the Liberal in the middle. 33 is the PCs on the right, and 21 is the NDP on the left. So yeah, now it's getting a little bit more interesting. So we'll see if the next box shrinks that margin again, right?
Getting closer, yeah.
Maybe it'll
We
be a
have
longer night.
flashbacks of St. Paul's.
No.
Like, oh, she leads by 8. Oh, wait, she leads by 6. Oh, wait, she leads by 4. And then the vote was so slow. And then it was 2 a.m. and I was working
And like
in
there
the
hadn't been an
morning.
update in a while, and I guess this
Yeah.
is the first live stream we've done since then. It was so funny because whenever we finish the live streams, we're both, especially when they're late, we're both exhausted and all this. But we have a little bit of adrenaline and stuff, and I like to see how the live stream did, and I like to see people's comments and look at stuff like that. So I was still up for a little while, and then I was up when oh God, what was the guy's name? Stewart. What was his first name?
Don Stewart.
Don Stewart moved ahead, and I was just like, oh, like why? Why did this have to happen? That's always the worst thing when you go off the air or whatever, and then the result changes.
But at least, and to our defense, we not only did we never make a call.
No.
But if you go to the last few minutes of that stream, we did say, well, it looks like the Liberals could be in trouble. I mean, we knew, it's just that we were completely out of gas.
Yeah.
We did not leave because, okay, we know the results. We left. We had been on the air since, I think it was 8:30
Yep.
at night. Yeah, 8:30, and it was 2 a.m. I just
and we still needed to be on, I think,
couldn't
for
do
like
it.
2 hours. I think, to get to the end. Anyway, there was another box. Oh, now a big box just closed. Ooh, the gap is less than 100 votes. It's now 44% for the Liberals, 35 for the PCs, 21 for the NDP. We're looking at a gap of 83 votes. Hey, this is getting close. You
44
were
to
smart to
35.
say we should do this live stream. 'Cause
There you go.
If
There
a
you go.
party wins, if we have a live stream and a party wins by 20 points or more, like that's on us. We shouldn't have wasted people's time. Like we should have been able to call it, but we like a race. We like a good
We like a race. But you know what? Again, quality, not quantity. Even if the Liberals turn it around and have a few good boxes and they do win by 20 points, those people that spend the night with us,
Oh yeah.
the
real
instead of watching Kamala Harris, or maybe I guess her speech will be later tonight. But well, okay, let's all agree
It's
to
only
finish
7 o'clock.
this.
Like there's no chance anything's happening. This is the best part of doing Atlantic
Oh, I love it.
elections.
Yeah, Atlantic time.
Like it's this
absolutely.
for people out on the East Coast. It's a bit later, but for us it's like 7:20. The sun's still kind of out. Like this is terrific. So this is great. All right, so we
I
got
guess Miss
13.
Harris will speak at 10. I think it's at 10 p.m. So
Okay.
we'll be fine.
All right. So we got 13. Oh, all right. Gabriel found how to join the Patreon. That's terrific. So we got Jamie Korb with 431 votes at 44%. Jesse Wilkins is at 348 votes and 35%. So we've seen a few polls that have actually been won by the PCs. I don't know where these are, but number 18.
Yeah, they don't tell. Yeah, they just
No, you'd
number.
have to. We should. If I would have known this information was available, I might have tried to find it. But there's a handful of polls that the PCs did actually win, which is a change.
Yeah.
Right, because there weren't
yeah.
a lot of polls. I'm pretty sure Osborne swept the entire riding last time, or district. I'll keep catching myself. So yeah, the PCs
14
are
votes.
doing better. Someone in the Christina was saying how it was in the Kilbride area, which I think is like further.
Just south of it, right?
Yeah, it's like further away from the downtown core, which I guess would make sense if it is like a suburban versus, urban-ish, like more downtown. I've got a question, Christian Odette. Why is there no Green Party in Newfoundland and Labrador? There's never really been one. I don't think there's
Yeah.
ever been one. The Greens get so little of the vote. One of the issues I remember hearing was an issue, and if anybody knows this better than me, they can correct us in the comments. But part of it was in terms of the seal hunt, that the Greens are generally against the seal hunt, and so it was like a controversial issue. But
Yeah.
like the NDP, which is a major party in a lot of provinces, governs a couple of provinces, in Newfoundland and Labrador is a very small party. It's not anywhere near
Yeah.
the organization of the Liberals or the PCs. They don't always run a full slate. So if the NDP is not even doing that, for the Greens to kind of get up there, I think would be more of a challenge. But I think it would be the only province without an
A
active Green Party.
Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, Quebec is barely one, but there's one. All right.
Yeah.
They get 0.6% of the vote, and they're not completely serious. But elsewhere,
Well, like the
Manitoba-
ones in Saskatchewan and
Saskatchewan.
Manitoba get like the one in Manitoba got 0.6 or 0.7 again, but at least they're an actual party. They exist.
Yeah.
Whereas
Alberta had
in Newfoundland and
1%,
Labrador, they
yeah.
literally do not exist. They're not
Yeah.
a registered party. We got a couple poll boxes more. So we got 115 votes, still lead for Jamie Corab. But
Getting
it's a
a
10
little wider.
point gap. 10-point gap.
It's still very close, but yeah. Huh. This is going fast. I like this.
Yeah, this
so
is
we
good.
have
We like this.
1,100 votes counted. So
Okay.
we're maybe a quarter or a fifth of the way through. 10-point lead for the Liberals. So it is definitely a closer race.
It
so
does
far.
seem, though, that turnout is probably not that much higher.
Yeah.
Because
That's
we're
true.
we're at 15 of 38, which would be what?
Almost a half.
Yeah, thank you. It's 39% of the polls. But we only have, as you said, 1,100 votes counted. So we're more on track for somewhere maybe north of 3,000 once the advance poll comes in and all that. So could be the summer, could be the fact that it's St. John's versus the outports. But it does seem like the turnout might go down. But already, I mean, the NDP is doing okay. They got 438 votes last time. They're at 241 right now. So, they're probably on track to beat their raw total of votes, which at least is something. If anybody is able to, if a party it gets more votes than last time in a by-election, because you never know if it's just turnout, right? Like, it's just that they got 100 people who voted for them last time and 90 of them bothered to show up this time. But when you actually have more votes, it means there's no way for it to be other than you convinced new people to come out and vote for your party.
And your ground game was there. Yeah.
So that's what was so impressive about the PC victories in the two by-elections is that they increased their vote. They got more votes.
Yeah.
So it wasn't just that they got their own people out. They got people who voted Liberal last time to come out and vote for them, and they got people who may not have voted before. Come out and
16
vote for them.
boxes.
The question about if Newfoundland uses the tabulators, I don't know if they do actually. I'm not sure. I think it would be faster if they had the tabulators.
It would be faster. Yeah.
Yeah, because Ontario has the tabulators and they're done in like an hour.
So
It's
okay,
not
so
very
16 boxes, 20% for the NDP, 44, just a shade under 44
The
for
gap
the
is only
Liberals,
102 votes again.
and 36% for the PCs. This is close.
Eight
Yeah.
points. 8 points. So now see if things paused here.
Hmm.
If things paused right now, I think every party would be kind of okay with these results.
Yeah, the Osborne-less Liberals still pick
Liberals
up.
managed to win.
PCs strong second, NDP much better than their disastrous result in 21. Yeah, but the PCs could still win this.
If this gets any closer, though, even if the Liberals win, I think that starts to get to the point that they don't like the result, right?
Yeah.
If they can manage this, if they get to a point where it's like within 5 points, then I think that would start to look pretty concerning. Because right now, if they're at 44%, that means that the Liberals have dropped 23 points, which is on track with where they were in Fogo Island. And the PCs are only up 11. So they've lost some of their support, if we assume that this is what that is. They've lost some of their support to the NDP, which is interesting considering that Osborne is a former PC. So you wouldn't expect that, that his votes, the Osborne vote, would go over to the NDP. You'd expect they go over to the PCs. All right.
Do you mean, but the parties, I mean, stop me if I'm wrong here, but like other provinces in Atlantic Canada, the contrast between the Liberals and PCs is not as stark
No, I don't think so.
as other provinces. I mean, I think the parties are mostly moderates, but I know hardcore partisans will disagree, but progressive. They are progressive conservatives.
I'd say so. But I mean, they have been a bit more. When you think about Danny Williams, who ran the anybody but conservative campaign in 2008, which was very effective because the Conservatives did pretty well in the 2006 election and made gains, I think, in almost every other province except in Quebec, and I think it was Quebec at the time, but also Newfoundland and Labrador. Vote tanked there, and it really took a couple more elections to recover. But Tony Wakeham seems pretty happy, if he can, to ride a little bit of Pierre Poilievre's coattails. right?
Why would you? If
Because
you know,
the federal Conservatives are
numbers.
more popular in Newfoundland and Labrador than the PCs, right? Based on where the polls are right now.
5-point gap now.
Ooh.
Closer.
Yeah, it's
Closer.
less than 100
Well,
votes now. We're at 562 to 485.
5 points something.
42
Yeah,
to
almost 6.
36. So
Yeah.
a lot of the polls that are coming in, now we're starting to see more polls that are actually being won by Wilkins over Tony Korab. Oh, I'd love to know exactly where all these things are. Because, like, he's a city councilor, right? So, and I don't think his ward or whatever it would be there is the entire riding. So, like, there would be, so there's parts of it. It is his vote coming out, and the PC votes coming in the areas that are outside of his own district or whatever he represents on the city council. So it'd be interesting.
I'm going to look that up. I want to see where is. Do they call it wards? You would, well, the equivalent of.
It's
wards,
often
right?
wards, but I don't know if it's the same thing in St. John's.
Councillor, Jamie Korab. So Ward 3.
Okay.
Now, where is Ward 3? Anywhere.
Commenter says only a very small part.
A small
is in
part.
the riding.
And if commenter knows how many people are in the city council, like how many wards are there, because and how many, I mean, so I guess Mr. Korab would get just a few hundred votes if it's just a small portion of it, right? Okay, interesting. Ward 3.
You know what's the
there he
best
has it
part
right
of
on the
these?
page.
We get to learn about different parts of the country together.
Absolutely.
Together. We learn from our commenters. Sometimes our commenters learn from us. So it is a beautiful, beautiful thing. All right.
He
So
had 63% of the vote in 2017 municipally, and then he had 47% of the vote. St. John's City Council, interesting. Oh, there I have it right. Ward 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are 5 wards plus 4 named at large, 1 deputy mayor and 1 mayor. So that's how many people? That's 11 people.
ward.
That's what it says here.
He just roams around the city, representing people.
Maybe they're like senators or something. Yeah. So. Sorry for people if we look ignorant, but we learn. We learn. That's the thing. So.
We're not big on municipal politics to begin with.
No.
I don't think we really follow that closely. It's
I mean, we have limits. We can't follow everything, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes I'm overwhelmed. I mean, I remember like I was asked by many of my French-speaking members, can you follow the French election in June and July? I was like, oh my God, I can't. I mean, I did the presidential election in France. I could not do the snap election that happened during the summer. Was the election like July 7th or something? I mean, yeah, there's not enough hours in the day. So, oh, new box.
Are we up to 19?
What does that say? 318, 604. It's getting really close.
Yeah, 81 votes.
Wow.
81 votes out of 1,400 that have been counted so far. And it's a 6-point lead right now for the Liberals, Jamie Korab. So, I mean, this is why we did this, right? Because we thought that this could end up being a pretty close by-election. I am surprised at the performance of the NDP in this riding. 8% in 2021, 31% in 2019 when they were the only other candidate who wasn't a Liberal. They did get 20% in 2015, but that was a really bad election for the PCs.
Yeah, it was.
And the NDP did okay in that election, if I remember correctly. Not as good as they would have hoped. In 2011, did they form the official opposition in 2011? I think they might have. Or they just came short. I think they just came short. They were doing well in the polls, though, for a while in the 2011 election. But for them to get 22%, and if the Liberals end up losing this, they might look at some of those votes, those 318 votes, and wonder how many of those might have gone their way if they had run a stronger campaign. But winning now, holding on for now.
2011 general election in Newfoundland, 37 seats for the PCs, 6 for the Liberals, 5 for the NDP. That's right. So it was really close.
I think my projections at the time had the NDP winning
But they
I
all
think I had six for the NDP and like 5 for the Liberals or something. I was
They
close,
did
but I
have
got
more
the
votes.
second place wrong.
The NDP beat the Liberals in the popular vote, so that's why it maybe threw you off. But
Oh yes, that's right.
that's close enough. That's close
Sure,
enough.
thank you. That was 13 years ago. Been around the
Where are
block
we
a
at
few
now?
times. Yeah,
Still 18.
yeah. So we're still at 18. So we got a good start, and now maybe some of these boxes are going to end up being bigger, so they could take a little bit longer to count.
Did you say, Eric, that the advance votes was 700 something
Yeah,
votes? Okay, so that would be a big chunk.
that would be. And if we're still at an 80 vote gap,
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it past someone to have a better organization get those votes out. Kind of wouldn't expect that the NDP would get a big advance vote. Oh, it's down to 4 points. 624 right now. So we're now it's getting to, I can't calculate this in my head. 73 votes. 41% for the Liberals, 37% for the PCs. So this is getting very, very close.
Less than 5 points now.
Yeah. 41 to 37.
And we're halfway through in the boxes. So, okay.
We're literally halfway through. That's right. And we got 1,500 votes counted. So we're on track for somewhere over 3,000. As I said, the advance poll is going to be the biggest box when it comes in, even though it's probably several boxes. But it looks like they're going to have them all come in at once. This question about which party tends to do well in the advance vote, I don't know. There might be a history of one party or the other, but it often depends on the riding. It depends on the
well, I would say generally it's never the NDP. maybe not like Alberta and BC, but generally the NDP is kind of known to not have a great organization. Don't be offended. I'm just looking at the numbers in past elections. Maybe locally it's different in Newfoundland. I don't think it is. But yeah, so name recognition for the Liberals sure helps, even though it's Mr. Osborne had the highest name recognition. But yeah, who did better in the advance vote? Who had we say the pointage in French, right? Where you just know where your voters are. You have their email, their phone number, their postal code, and you get them to the ballot box. So it's way too close to call now. We are halfway through in the boxes. Less than 100 vote difference, just under 5 points in percentage. The Liberals, 41%. It's a good score, but they could still lose this if the second half of the boxes doesn't favor them. It's not a runaway for sure.
We'd have to look it up. But just when you look at the way that these poll boxes are being presented, they're usually like a round, right? Usually the numbers make sense. So, we haven't had any results from 1 through 11. And I wonder if 1 through 11 is in one area. And so what area that'll be and how it'll swing could end up being pretty important, because most of the other, we got all the ones from 18 to 29, wherever they are, and pretty much everything after 12 we have. So if those bowls are all grouped together, if they all just scattered around, I don't know. Maybe if you can see on the Elections Newfoundland website if they have that information. But that could be big, right? If a lot of them are coming from a Liberal-friendly area, coming from a PC-friendly area. Someone, Christina, is saying it's from Shea Heights. I don't know how that went last time. But all right, we got another poll, and it looks like the gap widened again to 88 votes. So we're at 41 to 36. So back down to 5 points. We were at 4 points last time. I like that Elections in Newfoundland is not doing decimal points, keeping it nice and simple. It's just 5 points.
Right. We don't need it. I mean, maybe when you get to the second and last box, or the last box, you put the decimal point. But yeah, we don't need that for now. It's like when you go to a hockey game, the decimal point of the seconds only appears in the last minute. That's when you need it. And when there's 17 minutes left in the period, who cares about the decimal point? But at the end, that's where it matters.
So we have someone saying it is the Waterford Valley area, so that would be closer to the kind of the harbor and everything. City? So maybe that's more liberal. So we'll see. But even so, the fact that it's as close as it is at this point, I think is I kind of expected that the Liberals would win this kind of handily. I thought that it would be a bit too different from the other two by-elections, the other two districts, to really have it all go the same way.
Yeah.
So yeah, like at this point, like I said 5 points. If they end up winning by 5 points or less, I wouldn't take this as a very strong.
Oh yeah,
Strong
this
year.
is not so far. This is not a good night for the Liberals. Maybe they'll save face, but those numbers are not good news.
No.
And yeah, so, again, they won this by what was the gap? Was it 40 points?
42 points.
Yeah, 42 points. So, I mean that was a too big a gap. We consider it's not sustainable having a reduced gap. But if they go from a 42-point victory to a 4-point victory, you have to ask questions.
Yeah.
So
Well, I mean, I know we can't always. You have to be careful when you do it, but if in the and we got a poll box that came in that just boosted the Liberals quite a bit.
big Liberal box.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
now it jumped up to nearly 140 votes. Not sure where that came from. Not from one of the top ones, so we'll see. But now it's back up to a 12-point lead, so that is a pretty big one. But one of the things I was going to say is that, you have a drop of 21 votes or 21% for 21 points for the Liberals. A lot of that's going to be Tom Osborne's.
Yeah.
He was the longest serving MHA. He's been there forever. But let's say half of that wasn't. If they're down 10 points in St. John's and the PCs are up, right now they're up 9 points, and the NDP is up 12 points.
Yeah.
You'd look at a couple of ridings in St. John's where the NDP finished a close second. You would wonder if those seats would go to the NDP if there was an election held today. And then you think about some of the more outlying ridings or districts, the suburban ones. A lot of those with that kind of swing might go PC. So if the Liberals see a vote like this, I don't think they can be all that keen about it. Oh, so it was the special votes that came in.
Oh, okay.
Not sure about special ballots. I think those are like mail ballots and probably when
Out
you
of province, maybe.
and when you vote in your at the general HQ, that kind of thing. Maybe.
Oh, I see. Okay.
But anyway, it was a big one, and the Liberals won that, which makes me wonder if this is a sign of an organization, right? So if that's
Could
the
be.
case, then maybe the Liberals are going to end up doing better in the advance poll. So we'll see. But yeah, they won that one by more than 2-1 margin over the PCs. So if we see that in the advance poll, then it'll certainly be over. But we're back to a 12-point lead, which is a pretty big lead. And as I said, 240 vote lead right now.
If you have questions for Eric and I mean, I said this, I just posted earlier on Twitter and Blue Sky, or X, whatever. I mean, we're talking Newfoundland here, but of course, this is the main focus. But if you have questions for us about anything, about polling, about elections, about what's coming in the next year, including Newfoundland, go ahead in the chat, and we'll gladly answer your questions. So
Yeah.
this is we have time to fill now.
Yes.
Between
Well, if we're here
boxes,
for 2
sometimes it's
hours
slow.
in total, at least, yeah, we got some time. So we did get another polling box. So now we're at a gap of about 250 votes between the two. So it has grown. It was at smallest, I think it was at 80, well, aside from when it was at 3 votes or whatever, 2 votes at the first ballot. But the smallest it was recently was 80 votes. So the fact that we're now at 247 is quite a change. But it is an 11-point gap in a riding that the Liberals last won by 42 points.
That's right.
So that is still a huge swing, right? That's a net swing of 31 points. Still less than we saw in the other 2 by-elections.
Well,
Fogo Island, it was a 43-point swing. Bay Verde, it was a 64-point swing.
that's insane.
That's
Yeah.
insane. Yeah,
That's insane.
that's like it's like a completely new riding, just
Yeah.
plopped into where an old riding had been.
I mean, a 64 did you say 64? 62? 62 point swing.
64.
The Parti Québécois could win Westmount. That's
Yeah.
how crazy it is, right? It's sorry for the Quebec analogy. That's what I know best, but this is completely unusual. And again, hyper local effects that completely flip that riding. Sometimes politics has to be unpredictable. Otherwise, it wouldn't be as much fun.
Yeah. We got one question. Wait, did we get another question from someone else? Oh, there was a question about do we think that we will ever move first past the post? Ever?
Well,
In like
well-
the existence of the universe, I'd say the odds are okay. In like our
in our lifetime,
in our lifetimes, I wouldn't be surprised if a province does it, but I don't think
it's
so.
been
I just
the
think
odds
it
are
just
good
hasn't
that it
worked.
happens one day. It's just that it's been tried. It lost every time. It's been put to a ballot. The only exception was didn't BC they asked the change in the threshold was 60%, and I think it was 57 that they got. So a majority of BC voters in that referendum voted in favor of changing the system, but the threshold had been set to 60. PEI didn't pass, even though it was close. Where else did they try? Ontario? Did they try in Ontario?
Ontario,
Yeah.
they tried. They had a referendum. It didn't pass. So I think the threshold to get it done, if it is popular support in a referendum, that kind of thing, I think it's going to be tough for it to happen. And you just need to have a political will. And right now we don't see enough parties with that political will right now.
We don't. We absolutely don't. Another big bucks for the Liberals here, right?
Yeah. Well, it about stayed the same, right? Because we're at a 250 vote gap.
10 points. 11 points.
We're at 11
Yeah, okay.
points, so that hasn't shifted. So we're at 1,011 votes for Jamie Korb, which gives him 44%. Excuse my clicking around. Jesse
That's okay.
Wilkins is at 763, which gives him 33%. And here's 22% for Nicole Boland of the NDP. It's still a good result for the NDP. If you had to put a list of all the ridings and how they did in the last election, this would probably be a top 6, 7, 8.
So I see vote Canadian Future to end first past the post. Sif Croy. Yeah, Canadian Future.
Is that part of the promise?
I mean, it has to be. It's a small. Any small party has. Please end first past the post because otherwise we'll never win a seat. But sure, they. I don't want to be cynical, but when you're a small party, it's to your advantage to do that. And then when you're not a small party anymore, there will never be a party that will promote electoral reform in a model that they would be disadvantaged. It's never happening.
Yeah.
It's
At least,
never
or
happening.
follow through with it once they get in.
Yeah.
DG GF asking the last federal poll for Newfoundland and Labrador is May. I don't know if you mean federal or provincial, but federal, we actually had one come out today?
Yeah, it was narrative research.
Yeah,
I
they
think it was PCs +9, I think.
Conservatives
+9.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And will there be some future ones? We might see some. But we also got a question from Anthony, another beloved member of the Patreon, whether we're getting a Quebec Léger poll. Do they tell you this anymore?
Well, sometimes. I haven't heard anything, but there will be numbers soon.
Of course there will be.
I will. Well, the thing is, but okay. There will be a poll in the future. I would say before the end of Labor Day week, they will be. So that's what, 2 weeks from now. So I would say early September would be my guess. And there's also, again, there's a federal by-election in Montreal that will attract tons of attention. So we should see numbers on this. And, Main Street Research sometimes, tip their toes into by-elections. So maybe we'll have one out of Manitoba, Elmwood, Transcona. The NDP is battling the Conservatives, playing defense against the Conservatives. So those, in the next month, we will have lots of polling numbers that will be consequential to the state of the race. Not consequential, that's not the right word. Sorry, I'm getting tired, but you know what I mean. They will indicate the state of the race. So
some kind of interesting happened. The last couple boxes seem to have come from the top of the list. So we got one from box number 7, box number 8, box number 10. The NDP won 2 of them and tied the Liberals in the 3rd.
Okay, all right.
Surprising. I mean, they
12
didn't
point
win them
lead
by a
for the
lot,
Liberal
but
now.
Interesting. We'll see.
I mean,
that.
if it wasn't for the advance votes that is a big chunk, I would be close to making a call here.
Yeah, I think so too. Right? Because
14
right now
boxes left.
it's a 300 vote lead. They've counted 24 of 38. The PC's got close, but they didn't.
Yeah.
sometimes the trajectory keeps going. That's what happened in Toronto St. Paul's.
Yeah.
Just like, every 2 or 3 boxes, the margin was a little bit smaller. But we're not seeing that. They got close. It started to come back. So, yeah, I would also think that. But if the Liberals did a good job in the advance poll, I mean, right now with a gap of 300 votes out of 776, that would be impossible, really, unless there was something weird happening for the advance poll alone to do it. So we'll have to wait and see if it gets a little closer.
13 boxes left, and the advance votes. Yeah. I mean, the advance votes count as one box in this
they
website,
might,
right?
Yeah, at least in the reporting. Adam Baker said poll 8 is close to St. John's Centre, so that would make sense. That would be a strong NDP place right downtown.
I see a question from Joe. Oh, it's a Quebec question. Do you think if the PQ wins in 26 with 30%, they would be interested in changing the electoral system? They would in an independent Quebec, but not right now. So they would. Indeed, they would promote that if they will have a referendum on sovereignty, and in this new country that they are proposing, it would be the end of first past the post. So that's my guess. I don't know this, but that's my guess.
Okay.
At 5 parties, 30% is enough to win a majority. So why would you change the system if you win with this system? So, but back to Newfoundland. Okay.
Yes, we got one more poll box. It's up to 315 votes. 12-point lead for the Liberals. How many poll boxes? We got 13 left.
13 left.
And I mean, like each of these boxes has had somewhere around, I don't know. It's been rare to have 100. But let's just say it's 100 votes left in each of these. That would put us at, so 12 of them are normal ones, so that would be about 1,200 votes, and then the last one is supposed to be 700. So we still got probably around 2,000 votes coming in. But the Liberal lead is 300 votes. So
12 points.
How much would you have to win that? Here,
well, that's the thing is, the boxes are not the same size. But if you have 1/3 of the vote left, right, and you lose by 12 points, that means you have to win the remaining by 36. It's not exactly this, but so the rule of thumb, the PCs really have to crush the next the remaining boxes. But again, that advance vote, I think that's going to be the one. If we get this one before the end of the count, we'll have a clear view. But if the last box counted is the advance votes, we'll have to wait, right? But it's okay. We're hanging out. It's going reasonably fast. I mean, we had flashbacks of St. Paul's where we were there at 2 a.m. We're not going to be there at 2 a.m.
No. So we'll be done soon enough. Some really good intel there from Christina Ennis, who's really...
Thank you, Christina.
She should just she should just come on right now. We should call her up and she can come on the show. How box number 12, the one that had 7 votes, is old folks' homes. So that's when they go in with the mobile boxes. They set it up in the old folks' home, and they can come down to go vote. So not surprising if a lot of them don't end up voting. So that probably explains that.
But old people vote, but this would be people in old folks' homes. So maybe
probably,
mobility challenged.
That's it. Yeah,
that's it. That's good. Thank you, Christina.
So
much
that
appreciated.
Probably explains why it's so much lower than the other ones. It's not everybody would be able to get down to the main floor to go cast a vote. All right, so 12 points lead for Jamie Cora. He is up. He's up 300 and some votes. So margin keeps getting bigger.
Almost 25% for the NDP.
Yeah,
that's a good result.
That is a good result. As I mentioned before, they had 438 votes last time. They're at 649.
In the general.
Yeah. So they've at least 211 people, who didn't vote NDP last time are voting NDP this time. The other two parties are well below where they were last time. It seems unlikely that they will beat it. I think turnout does look like it's going to be a bit lower than it was. Do we have a total? We'd have to add up all of these. Well, we'd have to add up all these voter counts to know how many votes we're actually working with here.
I can do that.
You can do it?
Yeah, give me a second here.
All right. This is teamwork.
This is teamwork. You speak while I do that.
Yeah. Well, I got to maintain
answer questions.
all of the
We have a
windows.
few questions.
All right. What did we got? We got some questions here.
I think so.
We did see one before.
Do-do-do.
You can.
Let's try this.
I did see one before about Jagmeet Singh and his riding. This
Yeah,
question from
but-
Damon, whether Jagmeet
Yeah.
Singh could lose his seat to the Conservatives.
He could.
On the other side of the country, from where we're talking about tonight, I mean, he could. Like with some of the polls that have the NDP in the low 20s and the Conservatives somewhere around 50% in BC, Burnaby Central, which I think is going to be his new riding, probably flips.
Yeah.
Almost everything probably flips. It's not going to, maybe Vancouver East, Kingsway, I don't know, maybe like Vancouver, what's the other one? Or one of the Surreys.
Well, the center, can be Vancouver Center would remain. Let me check here because, okay, right now, federal projection, there are 43 seats in the new map federally in BC. I have 33 for the Conservatives. But, you know, the numbers that we saw this week, so they're not factored in yet because the update is on Sunday, they were really good for the Conservatives in BC. So that's probably going to go up. Maybe a handful of NDPs, maybe one or two Liberal, one Green, and the rest will be should be blue with those numbers. Okay, so I got a total. It's 10,593. So,
So turnout right now is at 27%.
yeah, we're looking at maybe high 30s
Yeah,
or mid 30s.
It's not very good. After the last couple, I was expecting 50% plus.
Hey, those fishermen were really angry.
Oh, wow. And they were. And Christina mentioned it, and I remember there was the protests outside of the House of Assembly, and they had to delay the budget because of the protests that were taking place out there. So people the good people in Waterford Valley not feeling that level of resentment, resentment, not that much resentment. So I think that's worth pointing out.
13 points now, 12 and a half points difference.
We had a question, and it is a kind of a general one. That is pretty much the whole point of this evening. Is this by-election representative of sort of the province and where things are going in the province as a whole?
Well, the Liberals have been in power since 2015 in Newfoundland, so about the same age as the federal Liberals. And any government, aside from dynasties that we have seen in Ontario from the 40s to the 80s, or Alberta, Saskatchewan, after a decade in power, usually it's much harder to get reelected. You have to convince people that you still have ideas. Even though I know they changed premiers, the Newfoundlanders changed premiers, but still the Liberals will have been in power close to a decade next year. So clearly there is a trend, or at least there's a small trend in the rural areas from those by-elections that we saw. The loss of Mr. Osborne cost the Liberals tonight. Not enough so far. I don't want to, be careful. There's still 11 boxes to go. The loss of a famous candidate cost them, but not as much as, not enough to lose it. It looks. So, yeah. I mean, it's going to be hard to reach a majority threshold. You need 21 seats province-wide it's going to be hard, especially if the NDP holds its own. If the NDP wins, they won 3 seats last time, I think.
I believe so.
Is that right? Yeah. If they win 6 or 7, that majority threshold is going to be really hard to reach for any other party. So.
I think it would be tough for them to win that many. Maybe they can pick up 2, maybe 5. But and end up with 5, I should say. There are the 2 independents right now who
that's true. Yeah,
and they were elected as independents too. So if they run again, that's an extra couple seats. For me, I think the big factor here is that this was Tom Osborne, who had been there for as long as he was. So right now, the Liberals are at 44%. So this represents a drop of 23 points. I don't think the party is down 23 points in the province as a whole. I think a chunk of that is an Osborne vote. The NDP being at 25%, like that's an amazing result for them, really.
Yeah.
Are they up 17 points? I don't think so. Are they up 17 points in St. John's even? I don't know. So to me, this looks like an overperformance for the NDP. Maybe the candidate did a good job.
New box.
Maybe a bit of a grievance vote. People don't want to vote Liberal. The Osborne vote having an impact. But the PCs being up 7 points, that's... I don't know if they're up 7 points across the province. That would put them at like 46%. But I could see that being a little bit more realer of how
More realer?
Yeah, more realer. That's a word. Language evolves.
We're tired. We're tired. We had
Anyway,
two podcasts this morning.
Yeah, we did. John, I finished. You know when I finished my editing? The last editing I did, the last thing I posted was 4:30.
Wow. Okay, that's a
long
tough
day.
day. Yeah, long day.
When we do the English and the French, it takes a long time.
You deserve your cider.
I know. Well, there'll be another one later.
25% NDP, 44 Liberal, 32 PCs. 10
the voice of the
boxes
common
to
man
go.
has called it for Jamie Korab. A VOCM has called it. Did you know that's what that stands for?
I learned this. I learned this right now.
I think I like it. It was like launched in the 30s.
It's just that it's the advance votes that kind of bother me. I agree. Without the advance vote, you look at this result. There's 10 bucks left. Yeah. It's over, right? The PCs would have to win the remaining boxes by 35 to 40 points. It's probably
the
not
problem
gonna
is
happen,
that
right?
the boxes that have been coming in, the ones that are at the top of the list, the PCs haven't been doing well in those.
Yeah.
If anything, the NDP has been really making inroads here, and if those results keep going, then you could end up with the NDP in second. So the trajectory is not going towards the PCs.
Yeah.
So I do think that I'm ready. I think I'm ready if the voice of the common man can do it, which I don't think they use anymore. I think they just call it VOCM. But if they're ready to do it, I think I'm ready to call it.
Officially, the numbers, the Ritz Eric Grenier calls Waterford Valley for the Liberals.
Jamie Korab of the Liberals, the next MHA for the riding of Waterford Valley. And
notice that I said Eric and not me.
Yeah, Philippe is not joining me. Keeping his options open for gloating. See, it's just a winning position. If you hold off, you are the responsible person, right? Even if he ends up winning, you are the one who's like, oh, you know what? I'm not going to be reckless. I'm going to make the safe call. I don't want to mislead anybody. And if you end up being right, then you're a genius. So
there are more advanced votes that the NDP got votes tonight. That's what bothers me, right? I know. I mean, it's let's say the PCs did not win 80% of the advanced votes, but there's still a bunch of. I'm going to wait a little bit, but you are correct that without the advanced votes, this is over.
Well. The gap between the PCs and the NDP is smaller than the gap between the PCs and the Liberals right now.
That's true.
So would you be able to call who will finish second? No. That I would be less likely to call. I think that's actually harder to call.
That's
because I guess technically could be any of the three parties, but
yeah,
I don't think the NDP is going to win the riding.
I just don't think that the NDP has. Maybe in the Newfoundland NDP are different. It's just the NDP in advance voting, they never do well.
No,
they never do well outside of BC and maybe Alberta. But even Alberta, they get crushed by the UCP in advance votes. So, that's why I think those federal by-elections that are coming. That we expect the NDP to be very competitive, even winning in Transcona and maybe winning in Montreal. It's just that there are by-elections, and the NDP have done so badly recently in by-elections that it's hard to give them the benefit of the doubt. They have to prove us wrong first. Anyway.
There's a question here, that if the next election, Newfoundland Liberals, Newfoundland Labrador is tied. Who would have the upper hand?
Isn't it the same rules as elsewhere in the country? If it's tied, it's the outgoing.
Yeah, but I think it means more in terms of if we're going into election day and the polls are showing that the two parties are tied.
Oh, is there a map advantage?
Yeah.
Yeah, I looked that up, and if there is a map advantage, it's really close. It's a narrow one. It's not like we discussed this morning in our episode, the Saskatchewan party. The Saskatchewan party could lose the popular vote by 3 points against the NDP and still win the election because they're crushing the rural areas of Saskatchewan. So this is a really clear map advantage. I don't think there's a clear map advantage in Newfoundland, at least not so far. But dynamics could change. It could change.
Yep. Okay, so We're still at 28. We've got 1,238 votes for Jamie Coram, who is at 44%. Jesse Wilkins of the PCs is at 894, which gives him 32%. And Nicole Boland at 699 for 25% of the vote. She's really the big gainer in this because Jesse Wilkins, who's a retired police officer, up about 7 points over the performance of the PCs in the last election. And Nicole Boland, who's a social worker, is up 17 points, which is a big gain. And I mean, the NDP did okay in that last poll. I would have to think that this has to be maybe a candidate that worked a little hard, and maybe some urban liberals who are not too keen on voting for the Furey government, but not ready yet to move over to Tony Wakeham and the PCs. The Liberals being down from 67 to 44, that's a big, big drop.
Yeah.
But they haven't won this part of St. John since 1993 without Tom Osborne. So...
Osborne effect, yeah.
Yeah. It's hard to know when you have a candidate that's been there that long, especially in a place like Newfoundland and Labrador. Throughout Atlantic Canada, a local candidate means so much more than in the rest of the country.
Yeah.
That's what makes 100%. It really hard to call some of these seats.
So 10 boxes left. I think maybe they've hit. Maybe they're counting the advance vote now. That's why it's taking so long.
Yeah, they're just taking a break, going out for a smoke or something. Just.
It's only been an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Well, if you're a smoker, an hour and a half is long. So.
Yeah, that's common from Stephen, who's right. Like third parties, he says, are good places to keep your vote when you're not happy with the main parties. And I think that could be a factor here. Because we haven't seen any real indication that the New Democrats in Newfoundland are on track to make huge gains. They often poll better than they do between elections, but it's also hard to assess their support in elections because they don't always run a full slate. Last time, they didn't have a full slate of candidates, got 8% of the vote. But you can't just kind of extrapolate that for the rest of the place, because in the places where they don't have candidates, it's in part because they're very unpopular and there's no point in running them, right? So they have candidates where they are more competitive, which boosts their overall result over what it would be if they had run candidates everywhere.
But the previous polls in provincial polls in Newfoundland for the NDP, 19, 23, 16, 21, that was from Abacus data, 17, 17, 16, 16, 12. And so all the polls showed that they're up from the recent election. But as you said, is it like New Brunswick, where they're polling between 8 and 10% and they end up having 2%? Maybe not that bad. But as the commenter said, parking your vote, you're unsatisfied with the government, maybe you want to punish it, you want to send a message. Yeah, sometimes voters do that.
We got another box.
Oh, what does it look like?
Still 44 for the Liberals, 31 for the PCs. We're at a 13-point lead.
Oh, that's a good box for the Liberal. Yeah.
Yeah, they jumped. Their lead is now almost 400.
Yeah, I'll join you. I think it's it's.
We're both turning our key.
Yeah, I'm turning my key. I mean, again, the advance votes could prove us, but right now, so if the Conservatives have 50% of the advance vote, which is high, it would be tied.
Yeah, but then the Liberals would have to have 0% of the advance vote.
No, sorry, 50% more. That's what I meant. If they win the advance vote by 50 points. Sorry, I misspoke there.
Okay.
If they win the advance vote by 50 points, then it's tied. The odds that it happened, that's getting really long odds, right? So, yeah. So Liberal keep, it looks like, in Waterford Valley, but. Good performance again from the NDP, and the PCs are up. Maybe Mr. Wilkins getting ready for the general next year.
Yeah,
we'll see.
That's a good point.
So, you have a decent result, even if you didn't win, and it was a riding that I don't think the PCs themselves expected to win. Maybe after the last by-elections, Fogo Islands and Baie Verte. Maybe their expectations jumped really high, so we don't know. But
I heard from one person who was hearing from other people, so it's secondhand.
That's a good sample.
I know. But it was that the PCs didn't really think they were going to win it, but the Liberals weren't all that sure. which
okay.
I find interesting. Maybe the PCs were trying to lower expectations a little bit, and the Liberals were also just like, I don't know. We don't know what's going on anymore.
Maybe the Liberals were shell-shocked by last time, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
What? So, we lost by 60 points? So, yeah.
Yeah, well, anybody should be. That makes your head spin. All right, we did get another box, and the gap is now 409 votes. So it does look like this kind of gap is holding. We're still at a 44 to 31% lead for Jamie Korb of the Liberals, who, with the Numbers podcast, both co-hosts of the podcast, have now called as the next MHA for the riding of Waterford Valley.
I'm going to tweet this. Tweet this. Hang
Make
on, I have my laptop. Make it official here. And you people that are watching, you are the witnesses.
Of history.
J'en ai vu assez.
So
you speak while I do this, all right?
Okay. So I think that this is... I think this proved the concept of the by-election live stream, that this was going to be close enough that it was worth watching. Because this is a win for the Liberals. It's a solid enough win. A 13-point lead is not a bad result. In the context of the riding, it's hard to know how to assess it because Tom Osborne got 66% in 2015, 69% in 2019, 67% in 2021. He was a former PC MHA for longer than he was a Liberal MHA. So how much of the vote was he just getting from the PCs? If it had been just generic Liberals, generic Tory in this district, would it have been so solidly Liberal?
Yeah.
Probably not. But it is still a lot closer than it was last time.
Mm-hmm.
The PCs have made gains. The Liberals have dropped. The NDP has picked up. And if I'm a Liberal strategist out of this, I'm saying, look, a lot of this was Tom Osborne. So leave me alone. But after that, I'd say, I'd silently, when I'm just, munching on my sandwich by myself, I'd be like, I don't like the NDP at 25% in a St. John's riding.
Nope. That's, absolutely. The idea here would be to Mr. Korab, Jamie Korab, let's build a big brand around him, right? Let's make this guy a star. I don't know how big the cabinet is. I should know this, but I don't. But if you elevate the profile, Mr. Osborne there was a day where he was not a star, was not a known candidate. So,
right.
And they have 1 year to prepare. The general election, we expect it to be in the fall. Maybe it's going to be earlier. Although I kind of doubt it now. If you have time, you take it. And if it's in November, that
Next
means
year.
let's say the Poilievre Conservatives win. They enter in October. So that's a way to keep your distance. But at this point, so you have a new candidate that replaced Mr. Osborne. He won. Make him a star. That's the strategy.
Yeah, he is a well-known figure, gold medalist.
Professional curler. But curler, this is so hard. This is so hard to curl.
But just like for the NDP to be picking up as much support as it has, because it's at 25%, which is up from the 8% it got in the last election. And this is a good result for them. It's not that the NDP is on track to sweep St. John's or anything like that. But for the Liberals, they can't afford to have the NDP at this level of support in a St. John's riding. Because in other ridings...
the splits will be...
In other ridings, that's right, where they didn't win with 67%, maybe they won with 45 or 50. If the NDP is taking a chunk of that vote, 10, 20 points, now they're losing that seat to the PC. So to me, that would be the big worry for them. For the PCs to be up 6 points, maybe a bit disappointing. They would have been probably liking to do a bit better than that. But give them a 6-point bump throughout St. John's. Put the NDP up, let's say 5-10 points in a lot of those ridings, a lot of those districts. The Liberals are going to end up losing a lot of those seats in St. John's. And if they've lost a lot of seats, they've lost a lot of votes out in the rural areas, out in the rest of the island, if they don't have St. John's, there's not much left for them. There's not much left for them. So, you're right. When you say take the time... being in government for another year and a bit, better than going down to defeat in 6 months.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Out of the two, that's what you would choose.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's not dissimilar to what we see at the federal level, right? I mean, you have the luxury of time, even though time doesn't help or hasn't helped in the past 12 months, but still, you have it. So why not enjoy it? So 32 boxes
32.
and...
that was a good box for the Liberals. They're now up by 412 votes. And the gap between the PCs and the NDPs is less than 200.
PCs had 50 votes. It was about tied for between the Liberals and the PCs.
That's what. Remember when we were saying like these boxes from 1 to 11, what was going to happen to them? These have been bad boxes for the PCs. Like you're just looking at these boxes. They won number 3, but they were tied for second, tied for last in number 6. They were third in number 7. They were third in number 8. They were way third in number 10. They were third in number 11. So this part of the riding, which the NDP did really well in, and based on what people are saying, and also just based on what the numbers are, is probably closer to the harbor, closer to the downtown, much stronger for the NDP. So the PCs, the PCs aren't. And what's really interesting, if you look at the history of Newfoundland and Labrador, the politics of it, is that St. John's used to be really conservative. St. John's was Tory heartland. It was, the more the wealthy merchants and this kind of thing who got votes from voted for the PCs. But now it does seem, after you see the results out in the 2 by-elections, that maybe Newfoundland is starting to finally move in the direction of the rest of the country, where rural areas are conservative, suburban areas are fought over between the Liberals and the PCs or the Conservatives, and the downtown areas between the Liberals and the NDP. So Newfoundland and Labrador starting to become more like of a normal political climate, and more similar to the rest of the country rather than different.
What's next for us? Let's talk about this, because I think this is over. But so we have new box. Is it a good one? Is it a good one?
Yeah, it's the same 400 vote lead still.
Same
44, 31, 25.
It was tied. Yeah, tied between the Liberals and the PCs.
All right, what's next for us?
A good box for the PCs is a tie vote, and you can't. It's why it's over.
Yeah.
What's next for us? Well, just remind people here, because I know some of them are going to
it's going to be
do
such
something
a busy
else.
fall,
But it's going to be a busy fall for us. If you like what we do, please encourage us. thenumberspod.ca.
There's a link in the bio. There's a link down below. You can also link to both of our websites, the RIT and 338 Canada, and you can support us there.
That's right.
But if you want to join our podcast, you can go to thenumberspod.ca. We do a podcast every week. Every second one is for members only. We have an extended mailbag for every episode. You get it early. You get to take part in the Discord. Because we got a lot coming up. Why don't you go through the list? What have we got?
All right, so we have in September, we have federal by-elections. That will be a lot of fun. There's one
September
Ontario
16th.
by-election. We'll talk about it, but we have 3 provincial elections. Saskatchewan. The first one is BC, October 19th.
On a
It's
Saturday.
a Saturday. That's going to be a late Saturday.
Saturday. At least it's Saturday. But yeah.
Yeah, but thing is, the New Brunswick is the Monday after.
Monday, but that'll be an early Monday.
That's true, Atlantic time. And then the next Monday after that is Saskatchewan, and the next Tuesday after that is the U.S. presidential election.
God, what are we doing for that? We're not doing anything.
Well, thing is, I might be doing something, but we'll talk in private because this might drag for days anyway.
Yeah.
We also expect other federal by-elections to be called. Right.
Oh, yeah.
There's at least one in BC that has to be called before the end of the fall. So lots, and we expect Ontario to go in the spring.
Probably. Maybe Nova Scotia.
Maybe Nova Scotia. This is the one I really wanted to go early because it's scheduled for July 15th. Come on,
No one wants that.
If it's in July, screw this. We're not going to cover it, but we will. But
Again,
reluctantly,
it's Nova Scotia, but it's not as early as Newfoundland and Labrador, which is an extra half hour, which we appreciate.
So
those of us up in Upper Canada and Lower Canada.
More boxes.
Yeah, we only got 4 left.
Yeah, 3 left now. It's over.
Still 44% for the Liberals, 32% for the PCs, 25% for the NDP. Do you want to wait for the last 4?
I think we can call it a night. So
we're
we had a
gonna call
long
it a
day. We had a long day. It's
We had a very
8:15
long day.
Eastern time. Thank you everybody for being there. We appreciate your comments.
Mm-hmm.
People who sent questions, Christina and all the others. Thank you very much.
For your local
we,
intel, yeah.
we hope to see you in our future podcast and our future live streams. And support our work. This is what we do. If you support us, we'll keep doing it. And we know Eric and I, we're more than just partners in this. We're friends now, and we have a lot of fun. And it's fun to interact with our members. So thank you, everybody. Eric, you can go rest now.
Okay. Thank you very much. And
you
thanks
have
everybody.
earned it.
And as you said, check out the description. We've got links to everything, and we'll see you pretty soon. Going to be a busy fall. So thanks everybody.